So I wanted to do a follow-up video geared towards those who are planning on applying to college and want to know how to best use their high school years. Specifically, if you want to apply to the top 20 schools, the Ivy League schools, etc. Despite what some might think I said in my last video, there's nothing wrong with wanting to attend a top-ranked school. Where it goes wrong is if you wrap up your entire identity, your self-worth, in whether you get in or not. But real quick, I just wanted to say thank you to all those who watched, commented, and subscribed after my last video, the first video I've uploaded in, 15 years? In fact, I actually uploaded it once before and it got no views, so I took it down thinking, this is stupid. But I still wanted to get the message out there, and I'm glad the message resonated with so many of you. And while it wasn't my plan to make more videos about college, there seems to be an audience for it. Now, I'm not here to give specific admissions advice. Frankly, I've been out of the game for a long time. I applied to college over 20 years ago, and I only applied to one college, Dartmouth. So there's plenty of other videos out there that better explain all the ins and outs of college admissions. I want to talk more about what your intentions, your motivations behind wanting to get into these schools ought to be. And the first thing I want to say is, if you've designed or are designing your high school career, your days, your weeks, your summers around the question, what do top colleges like to see? You're already on a losing path. You know the stats better than I do. Top colleges reject 90 to 95% or more of the applications they receive. And you've heard the same stories I've heard of students who had insane stats, ECs, a great hook, or spike, as you guys call it now, and getting rejected. I mean, these days, your guys' resumes are absolutely incredible. All these activities, clubs, awards, sports, research, nonprofit startups, instruments. And some of you do all these things because you think that's what these schools want. And yet, the vast majority don't get in. What then? After it's all said and done, wouldn't you then ask, what was it all for? Now, my point is not that you shouldn't try because it's hard or the odds are against you. You should absolutely try to challenge yourself because ultimately that's how you grow as a person. My point is, if you didn't do any of these activities or most of these activities with a genuine desire or passion for it in the first place, what was the point? And yes, finding an interest does require you to try multiple things. And if doing multiple things to find your passion is your goal, that's great. But if you're doing all these things so that you can impress an admissions officer who's going to spend more time on their toilet scrolling through their phone than they will your application, then that's not a good use of your time. Isn't it a better use of your time to find your calling, your purpose in life? You know, the Bible teaches us that God gives us different gifts, unique gifts, so that we can serve others, not elevate ourselves. Now, some of you might hear this and say, well, that lines up with what I've heard about getting into top schools. They like service-oriented activities, volunteering, etc. But again, that's missing the point. Look, I'm not saying I'm a fan of how college admissions works, but I agree with what admissions officers say when what they want to see most, apart from whether you can handle the academic rigor of the school, is genuine people. Authentic people. People who aren't just looking to get into the school for its own sake. Isn't that who you want to surround yourself with? Genuine people, real people, people who aren't primarily concerned with doing things just so that they're accepted or liked, but people who genuinely care about what they do. Finding what God created you to do on this earth, the one life you have, is far better than sacrificing yourself for something you idolize. So be radical. Don't play the same game as everybody else. Don't model your days and weeks after someone else's resume. They're them, and you're you. As the line from the movie War Games goes, the only winning move is not to play. And how will you know when you found your calling? Well, that's a very deep question, one that no video or no online test could tell you. But here's one question to consider. If you couldn't put it on your college resume, would you still do it? I'll give you an example. I've done about a dozen or so alumni interviews over the years, and almost all of them had great stats and activities, made great first impressions, and I would give them favorable recommendations in my reports to Dartmouth. But only one has ever been admitted, and he's the one I remember the most. You see, he realized that with the rise of EVs, there would be a rise in mining for materials that may be harmful to the environment. And so he did a research project all on his own and found that mining cobalt, a necessary component of batteries, can seriously damage the environment and harm workers. And he found that the Democratic Republic of Congo was most adversely affected and would continue to be affected with the increasing rise in demand for EVs. This was back in about 2010. And you know what? He was right. And even after 15 years, I still remember him. He had a genuine desire to bring light to this issue. And the best part, he didn't even put this on his resume. This was just a passion project of his, and he happened to share it during his interview. And I absolutely made it a point to include it in my report to Dartmouth, along with my highest recommendation. The second thing I want to say is take risks. Embrace failure. Now, listen to me very carefully. This is the best time in your life to take chances, to take risks. You think you're going to have the freedom later in life to do that? When is that? When you're working and paying bills? When you have kids? I'll tell you a story from my life. Growing up, I was always the shy kid, the quiet kid. I was bullied. My parents put a lot of pressure on my younger brother and I to succeed academically, so most of my time was spent studying or practicing the violin or piano. I was a typical Asian kid, and I was sick of it. And by the time I got into high school, I decided to do something radical. Now, I was never athletic. I was always picked last in basketball, that sort of thing. But I decided my sophomore year that I would join the wrestling team. I had no background or experience in wrestling whatsoever. I weighed 112 pounds when I joined. And to be honest, I just picked it because it was the most masculine sport I could think of. And I hated it. It was so hard. Everyone else on my team or other schools had been wrestling for years. I didn't even understand the rules. Making weight was foreign to me. I lost more matches than I won, which was humiliating, and it was affecting my performance in school. In fact, I got my first and only B in high school that quarter. And I ended up quitting 2 weeks before the season ended. But what I did discover was that I liked lifting weights. See, as a part of wrestling, we had to do strength and conditioning. And for whatever reason, I loved it. I loved being able to see visible progress, both in the weights I could lift and in my own body. I eventually competed in powerlifting and later Olympic-style lifting. My performance was nothing to write home about, and you can still see some of my old lifting videos on my channel. In fact, that's the whole reason I created this channel in the first place 20-something years ago. I wanted to keep a record of my progress. And to this day, I still lift most days out of the week. So if it weren't for that radical decision to try out wrestling, I might not have discovered my lifelong love for weightlifting. Now, did my decision to join the wrestling team add color to my college application? Maybe. It did give me a way to show them that I was willing to risk a perfect GPA to try something radical. But most of all, discovering my love for weightlifting gave me confidence. It showed me that I had the power to change my body rather than being a slave to it. And it taught me the rewards of discipline. It taught me humility, because there's always someone bigger and stronger than you. And I know for a fact that my newfound confidence helped me rock my college interview. I was interviewed by 2 Dartmouth alumni at the same time, and we had a great time. I was joking with them. We talked about not just my activities, but what I was interested in, my visit to campus, what I was reading at the time. They treated me like a peer. And while I obviously did want to go to Dartmouth, I knew that at the end of the day, it didn't matter whether they liked me or not. I liked me. So, take risks. Put yourself out there. Challenge yourself. And who cares what other people think? They don't know what they're doing any more than you do. And you don't even like them anyway. So who cares? The thing is, you know this. I'm hardly the first person to tell a young person to take a risk. But I'm willing to bet that for a lot of you, especially those applying to the top colleges, you might be thinking, well, what if I do take a risk and I don't get in? So let's play it out, and I'll end on this. Let's say you do spend the majority of your high school career doing activities that you don't even like. And let's say you do get into the school you've always dreamed of. What then? How are you going to spend your college career? You think you're going to suddenly switch gears and stop playing it safe? Maybe, but not likely. Do you know why? Because in life, you get good at what you practice. And you just spent the last however many years getting good at doing things you don't even like, all for the sake of a worldly achievement. You've trained your brain and your body to recognize that that's what you should be doing, because that's how you find your worth and your value. So where do you think you'll be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Will you like the person you've become? I ask you, of what good is it to gain the whole world but lose your soul?